Hello everyone, and welcome to Connecting with Kim. I'm your host, Kim Droege. We're so glad you joined us today because we have another great episode for you. And before we begin, shout out to my sponsor, the Spring of Tampa Bay, for providing my on-air wardrobe from the Spring Boutique located at the corner of Swann and Henderson in Tampa. Go and visit them. They do great work. They provide sanctuary and services to survivors of domestic violence and their children. And I'm so excited because we have a returning guest on Connecting with Kim, and she's wonderful. And this show is particularly going to fit my slogan of making your life in our little corner of paradise that much better. Because believe you me, the extension will help you make your life that much better. So let me introduce my guest. Her name is Lynn Barber, and she is a Florida-friendly landscape agent working for the University of Florida at the IFAS Extension, and we'll tell you all about what that means. Welcome back to Connecting with Kim.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I'm so thrilled. We've been trying to do this for so long.
We have.
And it's finally come together.
Yay.
Yay. So I'd like my guests to always take a moment at the top of the show to share their life journey as much as you want to share with our audience, because you just never know when someone out there listening and watching shares something in common with you.
Certainly. Well, let's see. I was born and raised in Iowa. And I ended up working for a large insurance company and was transferred multiple times in the Midwest. I did go to a school in Nebraska, so Iowa, Nebraska, Iowa, and then Iowa, Minnesota.
You got an Iowa thing going on there.
I did, and then from Minnesota to Wisconsin, and then back to Minnesota, and was offered a transfer to Tampa about 22 years ago, and I said no. And I wanted to know why, and I said, the bugs are just too big for me.
So was this when you were still with the insurance company?
Yes.
And they oh my God, people are going, I'll take it, I'll take it.
So they came back to me, and I ended up saying yes, I would come, and I did. So it was great. I was with them for many, many years. It was a wonderful career. And then I became interested in the Master Gardener program, became a Master Gardener with the University of Florida IFAS Extension in Hillsborough County. And then a part-time job came open to create the Betty S. Walker Discovery Garden. So our building is a big square, and in the center of that square there was standing water, a lot of weeds, a picnic table that no one would even eat lunch there because you would have to be like smacking yourself.
Yeah, you'd be getting eaten up the whole time, right?
Yes. So we got some seed money, and
no pun intended.
Yeah, we now have the Betty S. Walker Discovery Garden, which is wonderful. So there are several different garden rooms, and you know, we were closed, what with COVID, for a couple years, and then it took like even year 3 was a very big challenge for us. But we are working hard, and we're doing Discovery Garden tours, and we have a perennial garden out back that is open all the time, but the Discovery Garden is only open when our office is open.
Right.
But we had a tour with 43 people from a garden group in Sun City Center last week, and we have another tour coming up this week and another one coming up shortly. So it's great because people can look at the plants. We give them a plant list so that they know by garden what the plant is, the common name and the botanical name, so that if they want that particular plant, they can mark it on the list and then go to a nursery and get that plant for their landscape.
Okay, let's back up a moment, because some people out there are probably saying, IFAS, what does that mean? What does that stand for? So let's kind of do the building blocks and help them understand what is the extension in Hillsborough County, what does IFAS mean, and the breadth and depth of what IFAS offers, because it's huge.
Okay, so IFAS is great, and what it is, it's the Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences. So we have many different departments at Extension. So I'm in the horticulture department, but there's a professional horticulture department where agents work with growers or people that do pesticide management, or landscape designers or landscape maintenance workers, things like that, where they need testing and credentials and certifications. We also have a department called Family and Consumer Sciences. So one agent teaches about financial management, and there are free income tax services that are provided depending on how much income you have. So there is a cutoff on an income level. But the other agent teaches cooking, canning, nutrition, all kinds of things. So it's really a lot of fun, and most of our workshops are very inexpensive, if not free.
And now how long have you been at the extension now?
About 20 years.
Really? So you had this beautiful, wonderful career with the insurance company, who will remain nameless, and then you go get your master gardener degree, and now you found this wonderful second career with this fabulous institution that I had no idea. You know, as many times as we've talked, I had no idea about these other departments.
And when you're an extension agent, it's a wonderful position. I'm very fortunate that I have 5 program coordinators that work with me. We do have one opening, but the person has been hired and will start within the next couple of weeks. But the cool part about it is that you have a team, a whole office team that works together, and that makes it a lot easier. We do programs with one of the ag agents that teaches about raising chickens. So we did a Grow Your Groceries program, which was Kim in Family and Consumer Sciences talking about nutrition and fruits and vegetables, and then my team and I talked about soil and plants and what to plant and when and how to harvest and pest management, things like that. So it's all in a circle, and it's like the circle of plant life,
growing and plant life,
everything.
And the circle comes all the way around from the individual household to the professionals. So because I always like to tell people, never forget, agriculture is the #1 industry in Florida. You know, it's like $9 billion or more, right? But it is huge for the state of Florida.
Absolutely,
it is incredibly important to our overall fiscal health.
Yeah, it's critical.
Yeah, I mean, tourism is important too, but it's #2.
It is.
You know, agriculture first. Okay, so I'm laughing inside because I'm thinking to myself, as many times as you and I have sat down on the radio show, because this show used to be a radio show and then became a cable television show, you are educating me with things I did not know in the time that we spent together. This is wonderful. Okay, so the extension offers a lot of classes and programs.
Yes.
Now you are specifically a Florida-friendly landscape agent. So, so let's start with, what kinds of things do you get involved in, and why would people contact you, and how could they contact you? And
you could just go to Hillsborough County Extension.
Yep.
And you want to see our calendar of events, because that's where all of the different program areas list all of their upcoming events. And then there's a link to Eventbrite that you can click on the link and register.
Because your classes cost, they're nominal cost to the classes.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's not much. I mean, it's like $5 or less. I mean, so and it doesn't even begin to cover the cost of producing but that's not really the point. The point is to get the education going, get people composting and planting Florida-friendly landscaping and managing their soil correctly. And we have our friend Paula, who even help you with irrigation, your irrigation needs.
We do. We have 3 people on our team that do on-site irrigation evaluations. So if you have an in-ground irrigation system and you have a high bill and you think the bill is higher than it should be, you can call our office, and Paula is the person that you would want to talk to first. And we'll have somebody on our team talk you through either over the phone on the settings on your controller and what you need to look for, or if it's a significant, huge, large amount of gallons and you had a huge bill, then we'll come out, make an appointment with you, and do a wet walk is what we call it, because you're going to get wet walking around with us, and we don't want people in their house. We want them to see what we're doing and what needs to be done and what's working and what isn't working.
Because there could be a break somewhere underground.
Absolutely.
I've seen that happen to a lot of people. I just, we're going to get back to what Lynn's here to talk about, but I just want to give one shout out to Paula. Paula, there's no irrigation controller that you have in your house or on your premises that Paula doesn't understand exactly what it is and exactly how it works. And I can say this from personal experience, because I've had Paula on the phone with my, I love Rainbird, so I'm going to give them a shout out, my controller, and she could tell me exactly, you know, how many screens there were, how the dial worked. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
She's great.
Over the phone.
Yep, absolutely.
So you didn't have to see it. Okay. So tell me about the kind of things that you get involved in, Lynn, and what kind of classes you run and what kind of advice you give to people, because Florida-friendly landscaping is extremely important, especially when we have so much demand on our water infrastructure.
We do. And water is really a big issue for us, so we need to try to conserve as much water as we possibly can. So we have classes that we teach on micro irrigation, and we actually teach 3 classes. So one is a traditional micro class, which would be for a landscape bed. One is if you have like plants that are on your patio or they're container plants, and then we also have another one that is for vegetable gardening, so it's a drip tape. So we do those 3, and again, we charge that nominal amount, and we're not looking to make money. We're looking to help people conserve water, become educated on what it means to live in Florida and help the environment, things like that. I teach rainwater harvesting. So people end up with a rain barrel that we drilled and spicketed, and we don't use plastic spigots because we know what plastic does in Florida's weather, and it deteriorates and it's brittle, and so we pay a higher price in order to get brass. So we install the spigot, and again, that's a $5 fee for a workshop.
Well, what I love is that, well, first of all, let's back up. Micro irrigation, for those of you who may not know this, it is, so the average home in Florida, if you go right now, if we go into any neighborhood and we turn the sprinkler system on, it's going to, you know, they're going to be pop-up heads, and they're going to be what they call rotators, and then there's going to be these pop-up heads that spray out. There's going to be all kinds of things. Micro irrigation is drip. And you can convert, depending on your particular controller, correct me if I'm wrong, you can convert some of your zones or part of your zones to what we call drip, which is placing heads next to each plant that deliver in a drip fashion and are more effective in watering the plant and getting to the roots of the plant.
And there are micro irrigation kits that have spray heads on them that you can adjust, but it's still gallons per hour, whereas an in-ground irrigation system is gallons per minute.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if people don't go out and check them, your in-ground irrigation heads are watering your driveway or the street, so really you're just completely wasting the water, and water is truly a precious resource for us, so we need to conserve it as much as we can. So I ran my irrigation last night, and I was just kind of checking, went out on the lanai, and I looked out in the backyard, and behind some trees, I saw, here is one big gush straight up into the air. So it's like, I shut the irrigation system off, and I will have to fix that head because the head is obviously blown off of that particular
See how much I've learned from you in all these shows about, I can explain, you know, micro irrigation and, you know, the differences. I mean, and this is really important too, because I just want to tell you folks, we have a lot of people moving into the state of Florida, and we have a lot of people moving into Hillsborough County, particularly South County where I live. And we've been under water restriction for 2 years, where we could not, because we did not have the water pressure, number one, and we did not have the water infrastructure to water your lawn in the system that we used to have, right? So we have all these people moving in to Florida and to our county, and they're, you know, from a lot of different places, right? A lot of them from the Midwest, a lot of them, you know. And what do? They bring all the stuff they loved at their old place, which is not, I'm not, you know, it's okay. I mean, we understand. But you bring all that love for all those things, those plants and those species and whatnot, from your original house that they don't have any applicability in Florida.
You're right. We did have a person that we talked to some time ago, and he moved from New York to the Tampa area, and he had a trailer full of plants that he brought with him, which is against the law. You have to go through a few hoops in order to bring plants in from another state. But we were a little concerned about maybe what he brought in, because not all plants are invasive from the minute that you see them, and over time plants can have the propensity to become invasive. And the University of Florida has a wonderful website about invasive plants, and you can go in by common name or botanical name and see what the status is of the plants. So one plant that really recently changed was Liriope muscari. So Liriope is a fairly common plant that people have in their landscapes, but now it's being looked at with a lot of scrutiny. So if you go to the University of Florida IFAS assessment, you can look up whatever plant it is, and if it's invasive, then you really need to remove it from your landscape.
Oh, how interesting. Now, if you're just joining us now and connecting with Kim, my guest on the show today is Lynn Barber, who is a Florida-friendly landscape agent working for the University of Florida IFAS Extension here in Hillsborough County. And they offer, you know, a lot of, well, their website is great. You can find all kinds of information on there. And then they offer all these classes at a nominal fee, which you can learn about everything about living in Florida and having plant life in Florida for a nominal cost, and also the rainwater harvesting and now composting, because I know composting, it has become very, very popular. And it can be, if you're not instructed, you know, you could be doing it wrong. You could be making a sort of a hazard in your yard or wherever you're doing it. I think you should talk about that, because you brought in some stuff about composting.
I did. So my second part-time job with Extension was teaching composting. So it really was a lot of fun, and at our composting workshops we give out a compost bin, a compost thermometer, because we also give you a guide that tells you at what temperature you need to turn it, and the other half of that guide, it's like a two-part turn corrugated educational piece of information. So the cool thing is, on one side it tells you what you can compost and if you have an issue. Let's say that there's a smell. You have a bad smell in your compost pile. Well, you need to add brown. So that would be like newspaper or leaves, things like that. Or it's too wet, so maybe ripped up cardboard, things like that. So for every potential issue, we have a solution for you so that you can be more successful. And then in the end, the bin is great. It's big and it rolls out and it has clips. But if you're done with that pile, you just pick the bin up, move it over a few feet and start over again, and then let that pile just continue to decompose all the materials, and then you use it as a soil amendment.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I've read about composting. I've never done it, so I don't know anything about it. So this is extremely interesting to me. And I want to, you know, I want to come back to this idea that people move here from all over the place. Whatever your rules were from the place you came aren't necessarily the rules here in Florida, right? Particularly in Hillsborough County. I mean, for instance, taking down a tree. No. You cannot just take down a tree on your property because you feel like it, right? In Hillsborough County, we have rules about that. You have to go to the list of trees that you can take down because some of them are protected. And then you got to go through some permitting. So there's a lot to, you know, I think these kind of shows are important because there's a lot to learn about moving to a different state with a different climate and with a different biodiversity.
Absolutely. One thing I think in Hillsborough County, we used to have some type of a newcomers group, and they provided information to new people, new residents, based on like a home sale or something like that. I'm not sure anything like that exists today, but if it did and somebody knows about it, I would love for them to contact me and tell me, because it would be wonderful if we at Extension could send out a Welcome to Florida kit telling them about, here's what you need to do, there's a plant selection guide that is phenomenal. And it's called the Florida Friendly Landscaping Guide to Plant Selection. So you can order this stuff free, all these wonderful things free from Southwest Florida Water Management District. So if
Swiftmud, which we know is Swiftmud.
Yes. Yeah. So it's SWFWMD, and if you put that in your Google bar, and go down to Florida Friendly and look at all the dozens and dozens of wonderful UF research-based information, and you can just click on what you want and they send it to you for free.
For free?
Free.
I mean, for like plants and stuff for free?
Not plants,
Oh,
but information about plants.
Okay, so then you can go out with your. I know, I mean, in Florida we have a lot of deed restricted or HOAs, and I always like to talk to you about this because I want to give a shout out to those HOAs out there. You have annual meetings. I know you do because mine has one. And you are always looking for programs or speakers or whatnot to have at your HOAs. And let me just say, have Lynn out because she can talk to you about what you should be planting, how you should be irrigating it, how you could be conserving, how you could capture water in a rain barrel, and you will put yourself in a place where you will avoid future conflicts. Let me put it that way. Because right now, my friends in Hillsborough County, in some of the organizations that you and I have, discovered by working together, they tell me that a lot of their job now is mitigating between the homeowners association and what Florida says is possible, right?
Absolutely.
That's what they do now.
Yes.
Because again, all these people influxing, bringing all their ideas with them. It's great. We love them. We're not going to close the border. But you have to understand, it's different. It's different here.
It is different, and people just need help in order to figure out even what turf grass they need and how to take care of it and when to fertilize, when to water. All that information is available.
It is, and you
Extension.
guys are a tremendous resource because you and I have talked about the turf grass thing in the past. I mean, I personally do not understand lawn at all. I don't understand why we put this gorgeous lawn in and we douse it with a bunch of chemicals and we water it so that it grows, and then we spend tons of money maintaining it. The whole thing seems like I don't get it. Why would we do that? Some
people love turf grass. I live in a deed restricted community too, and I put in a request with the landscape review committee to remove all the turf grass that was in my easement, which really I don't own that property, but I have to maintain that property.
Right.
And I wanted to put in perennial peanut. So I had a meeting, and this has been years ago, with them, and they had one question for me. And they had done their research, so I was very impressed with that. The question was, what does it look like in winter? And the answer is not so good.
Yeah.
It really doesn't look that good, but it's a rhizome. So it's alive under the ground. It doesn't look so hot for maybe 2-3 months above the ground, but when it comes back, and it'll straggle for a while, but it is like, it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. We have a different variety of perennial peanut in the back part of the extension office, and it's a lot shorter, and it has significantly more flowers than mine does, but maybe that's because I'm just letting mine grow up too high and should really whack it back. But
does it attract bees, what you're growing?
It does attract insects, yes, and you want insects.
Absolutely.
Because insects
we can't survive without the bees.
They're pollinators.
Yeah,
so,
they're pollinators.
Yeah, we need pollinators.
Well, and let's take the flip side of that discussion. Bermuda, I mean, which is what is in a lot of these these neighborhoods, right? Bermuda doesn't look that good either because it requires copious amounts of water to look green. So it doesn't look that good in the winter either when it's cold. It goes dormant, I know that, and it needs a lot of water.
Yes.
To look green and lush.
And St. Augustine does the same thing. So people don't like the look of it in the winter, and they think something's wrong and that they need to do more fertilization, not in the winter. That's like feeding a bear, wake him up while he's in hibernation. No, I don't think so. So you just have to understand what things look like at what time in the season or their life.
Well, you know why they wanted to know that, I'm pretty sure, is what it looks like in the wintertime, because that's snowbird season. And that's when a lot of people are coming down here for vacation and whatnot, and they're driving around looking for houses, and and they want everything to look pristine so that these people go, I want to move to Florida. So that's why, but everything, once you get down here, you realize it doesn't matter what kind you have. If you can't put water on it, it's going to be cold, it's not going to look that great. Well, we are under about 2 minutes left in the show. I know, it goes so fast, and I know. And so I want to make sure that we cover anything today that you wanted to, any message you wanted to get across today.
Well, one thing I'd like to say is please look at our website and our calendar of events, because every one of our program areas post their events that are open to the public. So it goes months in advance, and then you can click on them, register for the program, whatever it is, and it really is beneficial. And we love teaching people. We love giving discovery garden tours and perennial garden tours. We do have a program that's coming up called the Florida Friendly Landscaping Certified Professional. So it's for people that want to be a professional that has certification. So it could be somebody that works in building services, it could be a landscaper, it could be a landscape designer, it can be anybody. So Susan Haddock, our commercial extension agent, and I will be teaching that class. And then we go to an actual landscape and walk through it. And after the training, then people have to evaluate the landscape based on what they were taught. So that's kind of fun too.
That's kind of fun too. And the classes run all year round, right? Do the extension classes?
Yes.
I thought they did.
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. So it's not just a thing where we only do it during the school season, so to speak.
Right.
We do it all year round.
In December and January, we don't offer composting, micro irrigation, or rainwater harvesting because people are so busy with Christmas and New Year's and all those other holidays that we did for a while, but really people weren't coming. So.
And it's not a rainy season anyway. So.
Yes.
Okay, well, we are out of time, Lynn. I can't thank you. Lynn Barber from the University of Florida IFAS Extension was our guest today on Connecting with Kim. Thank you so much, Lynn.
You're welcome.
I love having you on. You know that.
Thank you.
She'll probably be back in the future because there's always so much to talk about when it comes to Florida-friendly landscaping, water conservation, and all of those, and composting and all of those kind of topics. So go to their website. Avail yourself of the facilities because they are really great, and the classes, and you pay a nominal fee and you leave with everything you need once you take the class. What could be better than that? So thank you for joining us today on Connecting with Kim. I'm your host, Kim Droege. We hope you come back next week because our show is dedicated to helping you live your best life in our corner of paradise. So long.